Shitikantha Manditam Nabho Vimanaha Kalahamsa Panduvihi. So her problem is all her friends are going in the airplane degraded. Again and again she is saying this. Right? Then she addressed Lord Shiva as, oh blue-throated one, Nilakantha. Right? So why Lord Shiva's Kantha is Nila? Because
He can drink poison.
he drank poison. Not he drank. He drank poison. For what?
Save them.
Yeah. For what? In order to show mercy on all living entities. Right? Like that, she was actually implying, Are, you have shown mercy to all ordinary living entities. So many praja. I am your wife. Why didn't you show your mercy on me also? And let me go. Give me permission. Huh?
Like
Yeah, I like that. Oh, best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master or father without invitation. Right? Any spiritual program is there like this. You don't need any invitation. You can just jump in. Gate crashing. Indians are very expert at we also used to do like that. This is a social life is like that only. We make a calculations. Oh, if this person has invited me, so I will also invite. Right? For my daughter's marriage or whatever. So this person so and so has not invited me, so I will also not invite.
Even gifts also.
Yeah.
What he has given.
1001 दिया था वो.
they count, they keep record.
So उन्होंने 1001 दिया, मैं भी 1001 दूँगा. Right? उन्होंने बुफे क्या बोके दिया, मैं भी उतना ही देगा. That is the calculation. Like that. So she is saying, he is after all my father, if he has not invited me, so what? It doesn't matter. One's friend, husband, spiritual master, father without invitation. We can actually always go to these places. Oh immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. Right? So she was again and again begging, please let me go, please let me go. Right? So one thing is, she said Ardhangini. Right? Ardhangini means wife is the half of the body of husband. Ardhangini. So that's why I always say that husband and wife blaming each other is actually very ridiculous, because husband is blaming wife means he is blaming himself. Right? Wife is blaming husband means she is blaming herself, because of the body they share. Right? So the husband is, if she is blaming husband, that means husband is blaming wife. That means he is also part of. He is responsible for her whatever mistake she is doing. Right? So that was the concept previously, like that. So after hearing all these things, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of hill Kailasha, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affairs. This is very important. This verse. Here it is mentioned that the Lord Shiva, even though he is above three modes of nature, and then he is a self-realized soul, still he was experiencing pain. Whatever after remembering the words spoken by Daksha in front of everybody. Right? So it's very Prabhupada expressed surprise. Just see. just see, even though he's a self-realized soul, still he was remembering, he was experiencing pain after remembering the words spoken by Daksha Prajapati. Why it is like that? So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that even though he is above three modes of nature, because he is in touch with the mode of ignorance little bit. That is why he was experiencing pain. Just imagine how much we will experience pain when somebody speaks harsh words to us, right? That is why we should be very careful not to speak harsh words to anybody. It hurts them, right? Like they say that tongue has no bones. Right? Tongue has no bones, but it can break the bones by harsh words. So those who are like Krishna also says that austerity of the speech is not to speak words which are hurting to others, like that. Therefore, one may feel sorry in the absolute world, but the manifestation of so-called pain is always full of bliss. So Prabhupada is comparing that in the spiritual world also there is pain, but that pain gives bliss. That pain gives bliss. Just like Radharani and all, they are feeling pain that Krishna is gone away. But actually that increases their bliss. But in the material world, there is a duality. So this pain causes distress. All these harsh words and all, they cause distress. Like that. So, but we should be very, very careful not to speak harsh words. We should control our speech. We should, many times it so happens, we build relationships for so many years. We spend so much time and energy, invest so much time and energy in a relationship, and one word spoken, very harshly, it will terminate the relationship. Finish, right? Then whatever good times we shared will be forgotten, and then this one sentence that was spoken, it troubles us again and again, and then we cannot resume that relationship again in the same manner. Even though sometimes we patch up, but still, whatever they spoke, it rankles us. So whenever we see that person, we remember, wow, he has spoken like that. Right? That's why it is mirror, once it is broken, you may attach with araldite and all, Fevicol and all, but still there will be cracks. Like that, in a relationship where harsh words are spoken against each other, after some time we may patch up, but still those cracks will appear, and then it won't be same again. Okay? So we should be very, very careful. Like that. Vayoditam shobhanam eva shobhane anahuta api abhyanti bandhushu te yadi anutpadita dosha drishtayo bali yasyanatma madena manyata. My dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to your friend's house without being invited, and this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and thereby become angry towards him. Right? So Lord Shiva could foresee that as soon as Shati reached her father's house, her father Daksha, being too puffed up because of bodily identification, would be angry at her presence. And although she was innocent and faultless, he would be mercilessly angry towards her. Lord Shiva warned that since her father was so too puffed up by his material possessions, he would be angry, and this would be intolerable for her. Therefore, it was better that she should not go. This fact was already experienced by Lord Shiva, because although Lord Shiva was faultless, Daksha had cursed him in so many harsh words. Okay? He says, although the six qualities, education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. Okay? So this is the cause for our fall down in this material world. What is that? Because of pride. You know, like I was mentioning other day that sometimes we wonder, how we are protected. We come to Krishna consciousness, right? We are practicing Krishna consciousness, and Maya's weapons are already out there to entangle us. Already, we are being attacked from all sides, but still we are surviving. How? Because I mentioned that Krishna was, the chariot thing, right? Because Arjuna was protected by Krishna. Right? The same Arjuna, when he went to Dwarka, while he was coming back, some Adivasis, tribals, they kidnapped wives of Krishna, and then he could not, save them. Same Gandiva, same Arjuna, same arrows, same mantras, but still could not, save them. In the same way, actually, because Krishna thought, okay, now Arjuna doesn't require all these things, right? So he withdrew the protection, like that. So the moment Krishna withdraws his protection from us, we'll be finished, right? Like Ajamila, he saw only once, but when we walk around, we go in the traveling and all, we see this kind of scene so many times, right? We go on the walk on the beach and all, but still, we are not fallen like Ajamila because we are being protected by Krishna. But the moment we become proud, we'll be finished. So that is why we should be very, very careful. Like it is said that there is body, there is mind, right? There is intelligence, there is false ego, and there is consciousness. So we at various stages we misidentify with one of these things. Like in 11th canto Bhagavatam, it is given that if one misidentifies oneself with the body, then he suffers from unquenchable sex desire and extreme drowsiness. When somebody thinks, I am this body, he is always troubled by sex desires. Then he is always drowsy, he is always feeling sleepy. He is like an intoxicated person. Right? Then one identifies with prana, life airs. Then he experiences extreme hunger. He is eating lunch and he is asking his wife, नाश्ता के लिए क्या बना रही हो? अरे पहला lunch तो खत्म करो. Right? So they always want to eat. They feel hungry all the time. Why? Because they are identifying themselves with the prana. So when one identifying oneself with the mind, he has this problem of panic and fear. He gets panic, hey, क्या हो जाएगा? Otherwise they are extremely fearful. Like my father, so after so much persuasion, he purchased a scooter for me. Right? Otherwise he was not willing. Then I said, fast unto death. Then he purchased. Then my mother was like, what is the problem? No. So he is extremely fearful. Whenever I would take scooter, he would come up to the gate and say, be careful, don't drive fast. Then when I would say, okay, then he would ask, what time you will come back? I said, okay. Then he would catch his heart and then he would wait at the gate. They are so extremely fearful. Whenever I would take the scooter, he would be extremely fearful. Like that. Then sometimes I used to take him on the scooter, then purposefully young, you know, then you become very fearful. Like that. I have seen, you know, some people are extremely fearful for everything, you know, like that. Why? Because they are identifying oneself with the mind. If one is identifying oneself with the intelligence, you know, he experiences profound existential bitterness. He is like a Karela. You say, go and say anything to him, he will. He's very bitter, you know, in his life. He's not at all happy.
Contradict.
Huh? Yeah.
Contradict.
He's like a Karela, you know. All bitterness. You say anything to him, then he will. He will say something negative. Like false ego. If you are identifying yourself with the false ego, then you have feelings of perpetual inferiority. Like when I was young, when we were preparing competition success review, there is some magazine we used to have, right? CSR, right? So their main when we used to prepare for IAS exams and all that. So their main thing was, you know, how to develop, you know, positive attitude, self-confidence, right? Self-confidence. So this inferiority complex, you know, I am very fallen, I am very low, nobody loves me, you know, I am like a doormat, nobody cares for me, I am not beautiful. You know? Sometimes, you know, even beautiful people also think, oh, I am not beautiful. Then somebody has to tell, no, you are very beautiful. Right? I can't pass the exam. You know, this inferiority complex troubles them because they are identifying themselves with the false. When one is identifying with consciousness, you know, he is actually haunted by memories of the past. Right? Memories of the past. So, there is a saying, right? Past is history, future is mystery. Today is gift given by God. That's why it is called present. So, actually it is said that we should not spoil our future, our present, by remembering the past. But many times we live in the past. You know? We are so much troubled by 10 years back so and so told me, 15 years back my SARS told me, taunted me like this. 25 years back my husband told like this. You know, they're troubled, you know, especially Matajis. Huh? Correct? That is the problem, you know. They can't forget the past.
My grandmother died 35 years back. My mother still.
See? That is a study, you know, survey was done. That is why all the diseases, you know, most of the diseases, you know, only women get. Women get more diseases than men because this past, they can't forget their past. That's why there is one Louise Hay, there is one spiritual therapist. So she was saying, she writes that in a spiritual healing, there is a book. She says that you are sick and you are on this hospital bed. Before taking the medicine, you just find out with whom you are angry. Then you forgive that person. You forgive that person. You know? Forget your, you know, that is called resentment. You know, all these cancers and all, one gets by because of the resentment one holds in the heart against some person. So if you want to get cured, if you want that medicine should work on you, you know, you should
Forgive.
you should forget the past. Instead, you should remember good things that happened in your life. I always give this example. Suppose, you know, sometimes when you watch a movie, okay, some Sholay or something, Then, you know, after you come back, if the movie was nice, you know, then you always, you know, you come back and see that dialogue was nice, no? That song was nice, no? Huh? That scene, you know, that, you know, where the first, you know, fighting scene in the goods train. You know, that scene was nice, no? Like that, and we remember. Right? Like some nice things happened, like Janmashtami, you know, nice festival happened or something, you know. Then, you know, we sometimes we again, you know, same thing, you know, we have gone through the same experience, but again we narrate. Yeah, that was nice, this was nice. With one devotee I was discussing for almost 1 hour. I was gossiping. You know, that was nice, this was nice, Janmashtami, that, you know, decoration. Right? We always try to remember nice things. If the movie was good, then we actually try to recount. Right? You remember any most boring movie that you have seen? Huh? Deepika? Do you remember the most boring movie that you have seen? Huh? No. Even if the movie was boring and you came out in the interval, you know, then you don't like to discuss, you know. Right? Oh, that scene was so boring, yeah.
हेडेक हो गया
Huh?
मेरे को हेडेक हो गया
Once, 30 years back or something, there was one movie I saw, Loha. Came out in the interval. Oh my God. So that I won't remember, but Sholay many times I discussed. Right? So like this only, we should try to remember, you know, good things. You know, bad things, delete from your history files. From memory, you know, through your memory, delete all the bad, you know, incidents, bad memories and all from your memory files, so that, you know, you can actually live peacefully. So this past, you know, being haunted by past, you know, memories is not good actually. So now what? If you are identifying with oneself with the body, what happens? Sex desire,
drowsiness
unquenchable sex desire and extreme drowsiness. If you are identifying with the prana,
Hunger.
extreme hunger. And then if you are identifying with the mind,
Panic.
panic and fear. Intelligence,
Bitter.
profound existential bitterness. Karela. False ego, inferiority, complex. Consciousness, haunted by past memories. Just imagine if you are suffering with all these things, from all these things, extreme sex desire, extreme hunger, panic attacks, fear, existential bitterness, inferiority complex, past memories. You can just imagine the amount of suffering. So, in 11th canto Bhagavatam it is given that if one is influenced by false pride, then he experiences all these things.
False pride.
You understand?
False pride.
False pride. So this is the problem of Daksha Prajapati.
Can you describe false pride shortly?
False pride is being proud of our family lineage, or being rich, or being scholarly. You know, so unnecessary, without, you know, opposite to humility. Quite opposite. So those who are proud, they can never become devotees. And whenever Krishna sees that his devotees become proud, then Krishna fixes them up.
That is like the example from Lord Brahma steal the
Yeah. So if somebody may have good qualities, but if he is proud of this, then everything becomes a waste. Then it will lead to his fall. And the answer is that when the qualities of good education, good parentage, beauty and sufficient wealth are misplaced in a person who is puffed up by all these possessions, they produce a very bad result. Milk is very nice food, but when the milk is touched by an envious serpent, it becomes poisonous. Similarly, material assets such as education, wealth, beauty and good parentage are undoubtedly nice, but when they decorate persons of a malicious nature, then they act adversely. Serpent that has a jewel on its head is still fearful because it is serpent. A serpent by nature is envious of other living entities, even though they be faultless. When a serpent bites another creature, it is not necessarily because the other creature is at fault. It is the habit of the serpent to bite innocent creatures. Similarly, although Daksha was qualified by many material assets, because he was proud of his possessions and because he was envious, all those qualities were polluted. It is sometimes therefore detrimental for a person advancing in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness to possess such material assets. Kunti Devi, while offering prayers to Krishna, addressed him as Akinchana Gochara, one who is easily approached by those who are bereft of all material acquisitions. Material exhaustion is an advantage for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Although if one is conscious of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can utilize one's material assets such as great learning and beauty and exalted ancestry for the service of the Lord. Then such assets become glorious. In other words, unless one is Krishna conscious, all these material possessions are zero. But when the zero is by the side of the Supreme One, it is at once increases its value to 10. Unless situated by the side of the Supreme One, zero is always zero. One may add 100 zeros, but the value will still remain zero. Unless one's material assets are used in Krishna consciousness, they may play havoc and degrade the possessor. So one should be very careful of this scholarship like that. Once there was a devotee, not devotee, there was a Mayavadi scholar, his name was Yajnamurti. And he was a conqueror of all the scholars, Digbijay. He went to North India and he conquered everybody. You know. Then behind him there is a huge bullock cart used to go along with the scriptures and all. Then he would take them and like that. So one day, then after conquering everywhere, North India, then he came to South India. Then he came to South India, where Sri Ramanuja was staying. Then Ramanuja, he was known as like very great Vaishnava. And then Sri Ramanuja, he was defeating this Mayavad philosophy, you know, very profusely. And then when Yajnamurti heard that Sri Ramanuja was a great Vaishnava and then he was defeating this Mayavad philosophy, then he went and challenged him. So the Vaishnavas by nature, they are very humble, and he said, what is the use of wasting my time arguing with you? I will accept that I am defeated. You are a great scholar, and then you got a title also, that Digbijay. Then Yajnamurti asked, okay, if that is so, then do you accept that this whatever Vaishnavism is you are preaching is Maya, illusion? Then Ramanuja said no. That I will not accept. Then they had an argument. For 17 days, they had an argument. Vaad Vivad. In previous times, when there was an argument, the person who is defeated has to accept other person as his guru. Right? On 17th day, evening, Palada Yajnamurti ke taraf bari pada. Right? Means he became very favorable to Yajnamurti. And Ramanuja was unable to defeat his arguments.